fitness and wellness expert, naturopath, and adventure enthusiast Wendie Pett.
And my husband, Todd Isberner. He's a fundraising guru, men's mentor, and Bible scholar.
And as a couple, we're going to share riveting breakthrough stories from our guests who've experienced the meaning of a changed life.
Our hope is that you will be inspired, equipped, and entertained along your own life journey.
So lean in, listen well. This could be your biggest breakthrough.
Wow, that was quite the intro, right?
Yeah, no, that's got me pumped up. This whole breakthrough idea. I mean, I'm liking the sound of that.
Of course you
The
are.
question
It's
is,
our podcast.
Can we deliver? That's the real deal. Yeah. So, hey, everybody, it's Todd and Wendie.
Yes, we are excited to be here. This is our first episode of Your Biggest Breakthrough. And we also have little Cody here. I know you can't see if you're just listening, but if you are watching, this is little Cody.
Just one scraggly little dog.
A Brussels Griffon poodle mix is what she is, but she's a part of the family. And she has a little bit of anxiety. She likes to lick a lot.
No. She has a lot of anxiety.
But it might be reflective of how we might be right now. Are we anxious?
I'm not a bit. You see me licking like that? Are you kidding me? Look at this dog licking. This is wasn't it the dog shrink that said, your dog's licking a lot because she's anxious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you express your anxiety. Hopefully it's not running around with your tongue hanging out, licking everything. But, hey,
We're going to put her on the ground now.
So you did hear that it's true. We have two different last names. But, honestly, it's not that uncommon. There are lots of people who have different last names, but we are indeed married.
Yep.
Even though we have different last names, the real differences occur in our personalities.
Well, wait. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, okay, so you have a very expressive, energetic, outgoing,
I'm fun.
shoot from the hip, spontaneous. I think that's the word to identify how you live life. Very spontaneous.
The very thing you loved about me before we got married.
That's true. So you mean you're not crazy about time management or planning or being organized or any of that.
Well,
which is just
depends on the area.
So I mean, that's not right or wrong. No, that's true. It's just different. It's a little different.
Well, and you are very right.
Yeah.
It's very different because he's German and very type A and structured and boom, boom, boom. And I love that about him. And it drives me nuts at the same time. So it's good. It's good.
It really.
We complement one another.
Yeah, it's not like we get into arguments or anything like that.
No, we just have moments.
We have moments. And then we usually come away laughing because it's so stupid.
Hey, can I interject for just a second? Because I actually have a moment.
Is this going to happen? This is our first podcast.
Yeah,
we're interjecting all the time.
Because you know how I'm spontaneous?
Yeah, okay, there we go. Impulsive.
Impromptu. I wanted to present this to you. This is a gift.
Oh, man.
To say happy first, Your Biggest Breakthrough podcast.
Okay, so this was not part of our show prep.
No, I know.
Even though our show prep lasted all of about 4 minutes, this was not included in it. But you want me to open it right now?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I'm opening the attractive little
man box. Looks like a
really?
little.
All right, that's a man box. Okay. Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so what this is, if you're just listening, is Todd is totally into different leather type of bracelets.
Yeah.
And so this one kind of wraps around. And I found him one that I hope he'll love, and it'll be a little token of our first day on Your Biggest Breakthrough podcast. So surprise.
Is there any symbolism involved with this? Like you're strapping me down or anything with this wrist bracelet?
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, in terms of what we're going to talk about and all that. Anyway, I love it. Thank you very much. Very thoughtful.
You're welcome.
And I'll find something to put in the box in exchange.
That did take you by surprise, didn't it?
Totally. I can't believe you did that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
Back to business.
Back to Your Biggest Breakthrough.
Yeah. So we've got our differences, but I wanted to just mention that you and I are also very much alike in some very important things.
Yes.
Namely our faith.
Our faith, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is the thing that matters most to Wendie and I, and that's having a personal relationship with God that we continue to nurture and to grow in. And I think
together and separately.
Yeah, I think if you and I were different in that regard, and some of you, you have spouses or close friends or whomever, they're not on that same page with you, spiritually speaking, and that can be a real challenge. It is overcomable, if that's a word, we're just grateful that this is something that we definitely have in common. And along with that goes our core values.
Right.
Honesty, integrity, transparency, family relationships are huge for us. How we contribute to the lives of others is a big deal for us. So
Huge.
we sort of function on the same page in that regard. And that really, I think, honestly, those are the things that matter most. Like squeezing the toothpaste from the bottom instead of the top.
Now
versus
I do that. Okay,
paper. I mean,
putting the toilet seat down versus.
I am incredibly good at that.
You are
compared
much
to
better
before.
at that. Yes.
All right. So you have your differences, and but focus in on the things that matter most. I guess that's kind of what we're trying to say.
For sure. So what is the point of this podcast? There are a bajillion. Is that even a word? Bajillion.
Yeah.
Podcasts out there. So why tune in to Your Biggest Breakthrough?
Well, I guess first and foremost, like, what is your biggest breakthrough podcast?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, wait. What does breakthrough even mean?
Exactly. I mean, so
we have a couple definitions. I'm going to let you read the first one.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to say that
what?
I think we started the podcast because you thought of this name not related to a podcast.
Right.
You thought of, we were talking and you started talking about people's biggest breakthrough. And from that came, hey, what about your biggest breakthrough? And a while later, we decided, let's have a podcast.
With a coach, and we were praying about it, and it just like evolved. So it's super cool.
So I think maybe the reason we did the podcast is just because it's got a cool name.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. All right, so seriously, breakthrough.
No, we want to inspire, equip, and entertain. That's the purpose.
I don't know about the entertain part, but anyhow, so a defining breakthrough goes like this: it is a sudden, dramatic, and important discovery or development.
Yes, and then
let's pause for a moment.
Okay, pause.
Sudden, dramatic, and important discovery or development, and that's what we're hopeful that you are in pursuit of.
Yes, definitely. And the other definition is an instance of achieving success in a particular sphere or activity.
That's a little heady, but I mean, we
I like it.
Instance of achieving success in a particular sphere or activity. So that's the idea behind breakthrough. And the reason Wendie and I decided we're going to go ahead and join the ranks of billions of others doing podcasts.
Well, honestly, okay, so I have had many of my clients that have asked me for a podcast for years. With my Visibly Fit program, and I have not hopped in on that thing because it just hasn't presented itself. So I'm using you, babe, to start and get the wheels turning on the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're better together, quite frankly, and we're just excited to have this adventure and journey together on this podcast.
Yeah, and so today is going to be different, obviously. Today's podcast is not going to be typically what we do.
No.
We're going to invite guests in to share their stories of breakthrough and get people who you can relate to so you too can pursue your own breakthrough.
But you might want to know who you're listening to.
Yeah, and so we're going to give you a little idea on that. Just to, you mean like us?
Like us.
Oh, I thought maybe
who in the world are these yahoos?
Yeah. So today we're just going to share a little bit about our stories, our faith journeys, our personal breakthroughs, and then beginning the next episode, we're going to turn the corner, start bringing guests in that I think you're really going to enjoy because you're going to relate to them.
Yes, and you're going to want to stick around because at the end of this episode here, I presented, Todd with a gift. We actually have a gift for you, and we want to share that with you at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, 3, we think, kind of important takeaways that'll get you jump-started.
Yep.
But just let's touch on the upcoming episodes because we've got a long list of guests that we've started pursuing, and one that I'm particularly looking forward to. And I won't give his name just yet, but he is he's a man who has had to try over and over again. He was a millionaire because he had some very successful businesses, and then it all collapsed on him. I mean, just like down to nothing.
Right.
And he had to get back up, and he's middle-aged, and he had to start scratching his way back again. And
he lost it again.
He lost it again, exactly.
And then
another third time.
Talk about a breakthrough.
It apparently has stuck because he's learned a lot of lessons, things that he would have avoided the first go around, but some tremendous perseverance and like never give up, diehard attitude. But the details and circumstances surrounding his story, I think you're going to find fascinating.
Yes. And then one episode where this particular person is in ministry and had a fall. In the sense of just a fall. Yeah. not like a trip and fall physically, but a fall within their values and just their spiritual beliefs. Anyway, so you're going to hear from this person and how they overcame the obstacles of rejection and the hurt and losing everything in their ministry, including their spouse. And so it's a super powerful story.
And just let me mention one more. This is a couple who just have a tremendous marriage and a wonderful family and great ministry. And he had a great business. They've written books. They've gone out and they've been national speakers. And they had a great relationship with their son, who was really just top of the heap in terms of who he was as a person, what he accomplished in life. And they had to go through several years of just a horrendously painful experience with their son and something very tragic that occurred in his life. And hearing how they, day after day, pushed through, persevered, grabbed onto God and to hope, and what happened during this breakthrough. I think no matter what your story is, you're going to say, wow, all right, it is possible to experience this change that comes from a breakthrough. Now, just let me comment about this too, because even though breakthroughs seem to be recognized in a moment, they don't necessarily occur in a moment in terms of the lead time going into a breakthrough, right? There are steps along the way. There are processes that people go through before that, boom, that breakthrough occurs. So I don't want anybody getting the idea of, well, give us a secret formula. Let's just press that button and have our breakthrough. Yeah, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, maybe don't make that face whenever you say, give me a secret formula.
Most people listen, they don't really watch. So
That's true.
What have I got to lose?
That's true.
There's like 4 of you watching, right? Everybody else is listening. 5 of you.
Well, now they're going to watch to see that face.
Not a problem.
Oh, funny. Yeah, so it is all about your own individual breakthrough and how can you get to that next level of living. And that's our hope for you, is that you are able to overcome whatever obstacle may be in your life, whether it's financial,
right.
A relationship situation, maybe it's physical, health-wise, maybe it's I don't know, career-wise, or maybe it's just something that is just a mental block that you just can't bust through. And so how do you break through that next level of even thinking?
Well, we are excited to go down this journey with you and explore what it means to seriously experience changes in our lives by breakthroughs. Now, a little bit about Wendie and I, just so you get just a taste of how we got connected. It was on
Maybe they don't care.
It was on a dating site on the web.
And
we were searching for.
Hey, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people have found
I'm sorry I brought that up.
No.
Okay, I'm not knocking it. I kind of am, but I don't mean to.
No, don't.
I'm in such trouble right now.
You really are.
Yeah. So I was not. Wendie and I have both come through very painful, broken marriages. In fact, I'm going to share my story in a moment here because it's difficult. I have to be very vulnerable and transparent when I share my story. But after 10 years of being single, and Wendie single for about 8 years, we had met a couple years prior to that, and we were at a National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, he was there for radio, and I was there for television. And a mutual friend said, "Hey, Todd, I want you to meet my friend."
Yeah.
So anyway, we connected. He learned about my Visibly Fit program and protocol, and he was fascinated by my philosophy and how I teach the exercises that are more isometric based and whole food plant based.
Well, you caught my attention, certainly, but your whole
that's good.
coaching business caught my attention because it's I don't want to say it's extreme, but it's so different. And I've been a fitness enthusiast and have tried all kinds of different exercise workout programs. And we were explaining this Visibly Fit thing using your mind and muscle connection,
right? And
like these moving isometrics. I mean, it really fascinated me, and I wanted to learn more. So I hired her.
He hired me. He was my client.
Yeah, and thought, all right, I'm going to give this thing. Would it be 6 weeks? I think.
Yeah, and he was like, "This is going to be so easy."
What's this little girl going to teach me? I mean, come on, lady, bring it on. But honestly,
and he was sweating bullets when he was doing the workouts.
Yeah,
it was fun.
She proved her point, and in the process of
give me 50. No, I'm just kidding.
of working out together, Coach Wendie and I started to feel an attraction and began to date. And
yes, a courtship of 5.5 years.
Was it worth it?
Yes, 100%.
But it was a little challenging.
Very challenging. And if any of you are listening that know me and have been my friend, you have probably been on the other end of praying for Todd and I, because it was a journey.
God, even though he's German, does he have to have all the answers right away? So it was a jump of faith. Again, I'd mentioned that we come from broken marriages, and we also ran into some
just some family dynamics.
Yes.
They're very protective of Todd because it totally. And so there's just a few little things, but we did have this beautiful godly courtship. And I say that, and that might be totally TMI, too much information.
No, I think it's important to say we drew a line in the sand.
There wasn't going to be
to
sex before marriage.
Sexual purity. And at our age and having been married and all
that was hard.
This is a discipline that is only possible by way of the grace of God and dependence upon Him. And I don't want to make us sound like saints, because we weren't and we aren't.
No.
But I do know there is tremendous benefit in lovingly saying yes to God when He puts something in front of you that is difficult to do.
Yes. And so now we have been married for almost 7 years. So together 12 and a half. And it just feels like yesterday, babe. Yesterday.
Yeah, well, yes, some days it does, and other days, man, I'm kidding.
So we have a lot of fun. We travel a lot together. We're adventure seekers. We love health and wellness. We just have a lot in common as well. And
we get to work from home.
Yeah, we do. And so we're around each other 24/7, which is really something to be said.
Because you worked from your home before married, and I did the same. And you get very used to certain ways of doing things, where you want things. You get a routine going. If you're German and my age, you're very routine driven.
Anyone that's married knows that there is compromise, there's give and take, and you just get to pick your battles. So it's good.
Yeah.
So we're grateful. Okay, that's us. And
that's us together.
And God has put on our heart to help others, me in particular, women, and Todd, men, to mentor and help them have their breakthroughs and bust through any obstacles that they may have through coaching and that kind of thing. So, but that's who we are together as a couple. And we joke around a lot. That probably keeps us sane.
Somewhat sane, I would say. It has to be that way.
It's either that or cry.
Exactly right, or go crazy. And so, but
individually.
Let's talk about sort of the core foundational truths of our individual lives, because we wouldn't be in this place together. Yeah. We wouldn't be in this place desiring to share breakthrough stories and to help people along on their journey of faith and other areas of life if it weren't for our own starting point with God. And so why don't you go ahead and just share what
you want me to go first? Age before beauty, baby. You go first.
By the way, this is right here.
That eyebrow, I get that a lot.
They can't see that on video.
Oh, they're going to go
to
the video now.
This eyebrow right here says a lot. I know Dwight, what's his name? The Rock.
Tea.
The Rock. Mm-hmm. He does that. You know where I learned that from? My kids remember this one when they were little. Anyway, I want you to go first because I just do. Ladies first.
Okay. Quickly, I'll try to keep it short and sweet, but
you grew up Methodist.
Yeah, I did actually. Gave my life to Christ when I was 12. And over the course of from 12 to 14 years ago.
You were not living for God.
No.
Over the course of however many years.
I mean, I thought I was. I mean, that's the interesting thing. I mean, I justified whatever I was doing, right? And so it was up, down, up, down. And I went to church. I even led Bible studies. I was very involved in the church. And anyway.
So you really believed you were a Christian up in here.
Well, sure.
In your head.
Okay, but yes, right. I didn't have that intimate relationship with Jesus that I have now. Yeah. And that came about because of a down and out moment, which led to my breakthrough. Basically after I was divorced, and that divorce really happened out of a number of circumstances. I'm going to take more of the blame on any of it. I mean, it's always a two-sided thing, but I had a lot of resentment. I had a lot of stuff that I didn't realize I had. And I went and I hung out with friends and partied a lot. And that just made it all better because it was fun. But
Escape.
It was full on escape. I mean, there's so many different ways that people escape, whether it's shopping or TV or Facebook or whatever. Drugs, alcohol. Anyway, alcohol was my thing. And it was such the opposite of who I am, especially being in the health and wellness industry. I mean, I'm a naturopath, I'm a fitness expert, been doing this for almost 20 years. So it just didn't line up. And again, this was 14 years ago. That I had this breakthrough. And I came home from an evening with the girls and I had so much fun. And I came home and my son was with his dad. And when I went into my home, it was like the silence was deafening. Do you know that feeling? Anyway, I was going upstairs to my room and I literally collapsed on the stairs. I broke down in tears. I cried out to God and I couldn't move. I was just sobbing. And I just I knew this wasn't my life. I did not want to deal with this kind of pain any longer and continue to, cover it up with things that weren't filling the hole. And so I literally crawled up the stairs and got into my bedroom, got into my bed and laid there for 3 days. Remember that little dog we showed you and told you about at the beginning of the episode?
Ministry dog.
Ministry dog. She is. She's amazing. And there's a reason that dog is God backwards when it's spelled.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Sorry.
No, I'm serious. They continue to love you
no
matter.
All right.
There's a good analogy there. Anyway, so
right.
3 days
that's
in my room. She was only a few weeks old. And I tell you this because this is why. I never let her outside for 3 days. I threw food on the floor. And so if you can imagine the literal mess that was everywhere. And I just laid in bed. I was in a full depression. I've never experienced that before. I just wanted to roll over and make it all go away, die. I just wanted to go away. Anyway, how many times can I say literal? Literally. But I did. I heard the audible voice of God and I heard get up. And that get up, I thought someone was in my room. It sounded like a man's voice in my room. And I thought I was just delirious. So I just rolled over, went back to sleep and wanted to call it a day. And I heard it again. And it was a loving, stern voice that I knew in my spirit, knew in my heart that it really was the voice of God. And it was get up. So I got up, I got on my knees by my bed and I cried out to God. I surrendered and asked him to forgive me. And I got up and I cleaned up all that mess around me, singing just joyful songs. And I can't even explain it. It was a complete breakthrough and conversion. So there you go. That's ugly.
Yeah, so,
but true.
Some of us have ugly stories. Others,
poop stories.
Yeah. Others of you who are listening, maybe you've known the Lord all your life. As a child, you were raised that way and you just continue to grow deeper and more mature. And honestly, they are my true heroes. But I have to say, when God is after you, he has a calling and a purpose for your life. He will arrange circumstances to corner you. And then it's up to you how you're going to respond. And when you're talking about, your life leading up to it and you sort of hit that point of desperation on the stairs, to me, it's like God's incredible grace-filled invitation with open arms saying, have you had enough of you, Wendie?
Right.
Because I'm here now. So I'm not quite sure how or where you're at in life in your relationship with God, but I just want to take a moment and say that if you are not sure, then it's really time to stop everything and find out, where are you at with God in your life? He made you and he has a purpose for you. So I won't go into a preaching time right now, but I really do want to encourage people. This is the starting point.
That's
for
true.
Everybody.
It's true, and it's a big forgiveness piece, really. Forgiveness, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, and letting go.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a wonderful Catholic family where we all went to church every Sunday because Mom made us, which was good. And I actually loved my church. I really, truly wanted to get closer to God. And so I thought the way to do that is to become a Catholic priest. And so from the 4th to the 8th grade, that's all I thought about is I wanted to be a Catholic priest. I wanted to get close to God and I wanted to help other people get close to God as well. So that was my plan. And I started to have nuns and priests visit at home to help me decide which seminary to go to, like right after the 8th grade, because that's how you did it back then. But the more they pressured me into that, the more I thought, well, what am I going to miss at high school? So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do 1 year of high school in my hometown. I'm going to spend the 9th grade in high school. Then I'll go off to the seminary. And I got to tell you, after like midway through my first year of high school, the furthest thing from my mind was the priesthood. I mean, I got caught up in sports and friends and parties and girls and stupid decisions that led me down a path of 10 years of rebellion, living the way I never really should have wanted to live. I got married at a very young age, and we had our first little one, right away. And I just was not a good husband, and I was not a good father. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have the right stuff on the inside. And so that caused tremendous troubles in our marriage. And make a long story short, 6 years after we were married, I lost my wife in a painful divorce, and take a lot of the responsibility, but didn't know it at the time.
Right.
Was very broken. And my neighbors were like Jesus people, always talking to me, well, Todd, you just need Jesus. And I'm thinking, man, you guys are just using that as a crutch. Seriously, until I hit the bottom and I was face down in the dirt, calling out to God, saying, what happened? I don't want to lose my family. Help me, God. And so they introduced me to their pastor, who sat down with me, and I poured out my story, and he looked at me and he said, well, Todd, thanks for being so honest and open and telling me all this. But he looked me straight in the eye and he said, I got to tell you, this whole thing is your fault. And I thought, what is with this guy? Did he not hear me? And I said, what do you mean it's my fault? He said, yeah, you need to get right with God. I thought, right with God? I go to church. Everything's fine. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to tell me how to get my wife back. I said, I can't do that. I can tell you how to get right with God. Then I said, okay, fine. Tell me how to get right with God. Well, in almost a moment's time, he showed me some very simple principles from God's word, that God made me and he loved me and had a plan and a purpose. I was outside of that because of my sin and rebellion. Jesus came to die for me, to get me right with God, and to give me a brand new life. And all I needed to do was receive that grace, that forgiveness, and ask him to come into my heart and change me. And man, I'm telling you, I feel like God entered in and exploded me from the inside out. I left his office that day. I knew I was a completely changed person on the inside. Everything was different. I had a different perspective.
Yeah.
But I had the same problems on the outside, because when you're going to reap what you sow. You're going to have to endure the circumstances that you created. But with God's help, just got through it.
Get through it. Yeah.
So
that breakthrough can be a quick breakthrough, but it's a process even after the breakthrough.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
So that's awesome.
So I was. There's just a little bit more of this story I feel like I need to share, because I was no, listen, I was not planning on doing this. So if we got to go back and edit it out, we'll do that. But
no, this is good. Live.
Yeah, because sometimes I wonder whose life I'm living. I look back and I think, I feel like I've lived several lifetimes. I was single for 10 years and raising my daughters, was not planning on marrying again, but I did. And was married for a number of years on a second marriage that did not go well, even though
23
we came in with good intentions. Things just were real troublesome, and ended up divorced yet again. Man, it's just really hard for me to say that. So I was pretty much committed that just to be really careful, remain single if God wanted me single. And a few years later, I met Wendie, and you heard that part of our story. So I don't want anybody to think that, yeah, well, Wendie, you and Todd, you guys got it all, this rose-colored life, or not rose-colored
not
lenses.
At all.
No, man, we've had some messes in our life, and apart from the grace of God, we would continue being a mess and making bigger messes. So,
but that's why your biggest breakthrough is so important to us, because we've had our biggest breakthrough, and we continue to have different types of breakthroughs. And we've had some recent breakthroughs. Very recent.
Why don't you talk about your recent one as of like 5 months ago?
Yeah. So I walk a lot. I love to walk. I love to get outside in God's creation and really just get his divine downloads, right? And so I was walking and I was just kind of duking it out with him, because that's the kind of relationship we have. We can just really be authentic and duke it out. I wasn't wrestling with them.
Well, there was one person who did wrestle with him. His name was Jacob in the Bible, one of the leaders of Israel. Yeah. He wrestled for an evening and got his hip thrown out of joint. So I would advise against being too.
Yeah. So it wasn't a full-on wrestle. It was just a little, back and forth.
Jostling.
So, yes. So as I was walking, I was wrestling with myself, not him, but talking it out with him about just my business and just the flow of it, and just in a place of doing more than I needed to be doing, because I'm a recovering perfectionist, number one. And
how recovered are you at this point?
I think I'm pretty recovered.
You've been that way all your life, and so
I did say recovering.
Yeah, good. Okay.
So anyway, I'm getting there. But I was doing all this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? All of a sudden, I thought, I don't have to do this. And God's like, yeah, that's right. You don't have to. And then all of a sudden I was like, I get to, and I want to. And he's like, yeah, atta girl. So it's just that little dialogue of, I don't have to do what I do for a living. And it's not even for a living. It's a ministry. But you hit a wall no matter what kind of thing you do if you're always constantly in it, mm-hmm. and you don't pull yourself back for restoration and just So that's where I was. I'd hit a wall, and I really heard, you don't have to do it. I thought, yeah, you know what? I don't, and it gave me this freedom.
Yeah, did it give you a freedom that I could see when you came back in after your walk?
Could you really?
No, seriously, I could. Just the look in your eye and the expression on your face was one of just tremendous freedom and relief, and not with an attitude of, yeah, I don't have to do this anymore. It wasn't like that.
No.
It was, wow, I actually get to do this.
I got
and it seemed
attitude.
Like God, yeah, there you go. It seemed like God just lifted that burden of responsibility and obligation off your shoulders.
Of what it was supposed to look like and be like, and all this stuff. And he's like, no, it is, and it's perfect. It's great. And anyway, it was a breakthrough for me.
It was. And I think what's really cool is that you're constantly teaching and encouraging, coaching women mm-hmm. to go after breakthroughs, primarily in the area of health and wellness. But a lot of times you have to deal with that issue of forgiving yourself first.
100%.
You went through that process.
Yeah.
And then you have to help them see that this is not like some, horribly obligatory, terrible thing you have to do, like a boot camp where you're not going to make it.
You get to.
You keep pointing out the positive of what the benefits are going to be as a result of this awesome opportunity and really privilege. So that's what I love about your coaching business. And by the way, how long have you been doing this?
Well,
I don't think you said that.
Almost 2 decades now.
Like 20 years of incredible coaching, health and wellness, and just tremendous stories. We're going to talk about some of those stories in some of our podcasts, because real transformations. Yeah. So I had a little bit of a breakthrough myself about 4 years ago. I guess I failed to mention that in my earlier life, after I received the Lord, I started a business called Share Media, and we were helping Christian radio stations and ministries raise money. And I honestly didn't plan on doing that. It just like God opened up a back door, pushed me through, and the next thing I knew, I'm in that world. But I did that for 42 years, and we were helping Christian radio stations and other nonprofit ministries raise money. We would do this all over the country and even other parts of the world. And I mean, I loved it. It was just tremendously fulfilling and joy-filled. But I knew that it was time to make a transition about 4 or 5 years ago, and that God had prepared me to hand it over and move on. So a long series of circumstances, merged the company with another great company in Dallas, Texas, and started to work through this transition. But before we actually went through the process of doing the closing on the merger, about 2 weeks before that, I mean, I'm really getting anxious. I'm on my knees. I go through this little ritual in the morning where I tell God I'm surrendering everything. I try to be serious, but this particular,
you try to.
This particular day, I'm surrendering. Lord, I surrender my health, my fitness, I surrender my wife, my family, my kids, I surrender all this to you, Lord. I surrender my company, and he stopped me right there. He said, "Wait a minute, what did you say? Your company?" And it just hit me cold. I said, "Lord, wow, yeah, that was never my company to begin with.
Right.
That was God's doing and his deal." And so I was just taking care of it for him for 42 years.
Stewarding.
And literally right then I apologized to God, and I seriously felt when I got up off my knees, I felt so free and relieved, like this is good, this is right, this is God's, and away it goes. So that's what occurred, and I am to this day so grateful for the moments that God gives us when we can recognize there's this breakthrough that's about to occur. It's this sudden, dramatic, and important discovery or development. And friend, we so badly want that for you.
Yes, 100%. And here's the interesting thing. So I don't know if this is the same time frame, Todd, but because you've written a book. And so I think about this because maybe once you released that share media, that opened the door, and God could use you to your next thing, right? And which was writing a book called What Every Man Needs to Know. How to Master Faith, Family, Fitness, Finance. And I'm very proud of you. Although he did do that without telling me, and he presented it after the fact, like, hey, babe, look what I wrote.
It was a man type of deal. It was a Todd type of deal. I didn't want any interference. I didn't want any. I honestly, I just didn't want to self-sabotage. So I wrote it over summer. But I never really thought of that.
I wonder if that was the timing.
It was the timing. It was that point where I got free.
There's another breakthrough for you.
I know.
Realizing
awesome.
that.
Yeah, that God I wrote it like in 6 weeks, and I have a heart for men. I really want men to be able to get these foundational cornerstones in the right places in their lives.
And he's been coaching men for years and years, and now he just wants to do it because he loves it. And I think that is something that we want to help you discover in your own life. What do you need to let go of so that God can take you down the path he really has for you? What do you need to have a different shift in mindset around so that you have a new attitude with the thing that God has called you to?
So at the top of the podcast, we had mentioned we're going to give you
3 takeaways,
three simple takeaways. Call them action points. Just our desire is that you'll really start thinking clearly and seriously about a breakthrough that is in front of you, and you're just perhaps feeling stuck right now, and you're not quite sure how to get to the next level. So first and foremost, number one is you really truly need to get clear with lots of specificity on what this breakthrough is all about.
Specificity.
I know. I can't believe I said that right the first time.
That's really great.
Specificity, meaning it would be
I don't think I've ever used that word.
Well, you're going to start using it because it's very,
yeah.
So
just get specific. Get specific.
Get clarity with specificity on exactly what kind of a breakthrough you need in your life, the breakthrough that you want in your life, the breakthrough that you think you should have, but you're not quite certain how that's going to happen. So write it down, get clear on it, and then number 2.
Really understand your why, your deep-rooted why. I mean, I know you hear that term thrown around all the time. What's your why? What's your why? But if you don't have that and you don't have it locked in, then that will it's not going to propel you to really take action. And so my why is, I have a 20-year-old son. Todd's why, and ours collectively, he's got 2 grown daughters and 12 grandkids, and we have a lot of whys, right?
Absolutely.
To fulfill what God has called us to do. And so what's your why? And to discover that. And if you don't know what it is, ask people around you, like, what do you see that maybe I'm struggling in? And that might help you develop that why as well.
Tell them about the breakthrough you're looking for, and tell them, at least begin to think through why you want that and get their reaction to it. But important to involve somebody else in your life
for
as
some
you go
accountability.
through this process.
Yep.
And then number 3
is your special little gift. We have a free PDF download that will really help you get started. It's a starter kit for your biggest breakthrough, and it'll help just kind of map out and walk you through some different areas in your life. And it's based on actually a survey that AARP did, and about other people's bucket list and breakthroughs that they're wanting to achieve. We call them more of a live it list, but we want to allow you to discover what you need to break through in so that you can fulfill that live it list.
But seriously, go download that. Get over to yourbiggestbreakthrough.com.
Yes.
And it'll be right there for you. Download it. It's a PDF. It's about 12 pages.
Yeah.
It's not a big, head exercise. It's really something that'll start to engage you emotionally by walking through that process and help you identify and get your why and get going. It's like a jump start on your breakthrough. And who doesn't want that, right? We all need some help in that department.
For sure.
So, and I think as you stay tuned to the next episodes, you're going to be inspired and you're going to hear of examples before you that will perhaps just get you going and light your fire. So obviously you want to subscribe. I think that's the obvious, right?
Yes,
Everybody asks you to
subscribe and leave comments on Your Biggest Breakthrough podcast. Give us a review. We would just be so grateful. Thank you. That's real important, actually. I hear. I don't know. This is our first podcast.
Subscribe and then share with others. Post it on social media. I know we're trying to get you.
We need a review. Yes, we need a review.
I'll tell you what. Just take your time. Check it out first. Like if you don't think it's worthwhile, just forget about it. Right. Otherwise, if you think it's worthwhile, it's going to be of help to you and to others. Then subscribe, share, and let's. The reality is we're in this thing together.
Yep.
Right? We really are. Every one of us have got a series of breakthroughs throughout life that we need and that we want. And we're just looking to walk along this journey right beside you.
And I think about how people have learned from other people's stories since the beginning of time, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
now,
stories,
you're so right. Storytelling is where it's
stir
at.
the soul.
Yeah.
They reveal.
Yeah.
Stories heal. I mean, stories are where it's at. And
that's pretty good. Stories
stir the soul. Stories reveal. Stories heal.
Are you reading that? Is there a script in front of you? How do you know that?
Yes.
No, that's good. You're absolutely right. Stories is where it's at.
So if you have a story, or if you know someone that has a story that you would like us to maybe consider sharing here on Your Biggest Breakthrough, then go to our website at yourbiggestbreakthrough.com and contact us. Share it with us and we'll be in touch. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks for subscribing and reviewing. And we can't wait to get with you on the next podcast. Take care. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, we love spending time with you right here on Your Biggest Breakthrough podcast. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. But until then, just head on over to yourbiggestbreakthrough.com, where you'll find some free resources and information and a place where you can comment, and we would love to dialogue with you there. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.